Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it is about 12 o'clock right now, and a few things I wanted to talk about. I have some free time right now, so I figured I'd make a video here in my car. Love making videos in my car. I've had hardly any sleep in the past 2 days. I've been staying up, doing a lot of thinking and cramming with some certain forms of knowledge, learning things. So you have to bear with me in my stumbling and mumbling. But I wanted to talk about how as I've become more conscious, I've realized just how difficult it is for many people to find a common ground with me and relate to me. And that's not because I'm more conscious than them. I'm not claiming to be more conscious than them. I'm just claiming that I'm a completely different person now than I used to be. And for many people, they have a very difficult time relating to the new Brandon, the new me. And things that I used to love don't interest me anymore. And things that I didn't used to love now interest me. So when I was more unconscious, when I was more in a sleep state, metaphorically speaking, the things that could benefit me. What is ringing in here? I hear this ringing noise. It's bugging the hell out of me. Excuse me. When I was in a more unconscious state, the things that were beneficial to me, I found trivial. I regarded those things as being unimportant or boring. And it's funny how now that I have changed my ways, the things that are beneficial to me, the things that I used to think are trivial, I hold in my heart and I cherish. So I think it's important for young people and people in general to really question the things that they're clinging to, and question the things, that they really think are important. Because I've learned the hard way and found that oftentimes the things that we think we want, the things that we think we need, the things that we can't live without, or these obsessions that we have with certain things, whether that be entertainment, you name it, often these things are things we really do not need. So, again, it's a crazy world. Oftentimes our morals are flipped upside down, and we give our time to things we really don't need. So anyways, I'm rambling. I sound like I've had no sleep, and it's pretty much because I've had about 4.5 hours of sleep in the last 48 hours. So it's difficult for me to relate to people who are still in their familiar state of consciousness. It's difficult for me to relate to people who are in a similar state of consciousness that I used to be in when I was more unconscious. It's difficult for me to relate to people who aren't interested in things like Kundalini, who aren't interested in things like the Merkaba and enlightenment. It's difficult for me to sit down and have a conversation with someone who really doesn't find this stuff interesting at all. Because when I'm in social situations with people who are like this, I'm usually following their script. I'm usually going along to their tune. I'm usually just pretending to enjoy the things that they're talking about, or pretend like I'm interested, when I really am inside. Often I'm just screaming, and I want to talk about something that's interesting. I'm sick of having the same discussion with so many different people. These mundane discussions about work and education and school and politics and entertainment and movies and shit. It's like I can have the same discussion with 100 different people, And even though they're different people, it's like it's just this same script people are following. And I'm tired of that script. This one-page script. I want to go past the first page. So, after my Kundalini awakenings, things got somewhat difficult for me socially because I found typical social situations incredibly boring and irritating, and it made me nervous to be around people who couldn't seem to relate to the depth of the water I was swimming in. And what really irritated me was the fact that in order for me to have a conversation with many of these people, it made me feel like I had to swim down into the shallow end to talk to them. But when I wanted to take them into the deep end, they'd fight, kick, and scream not to do it, metaphorically speaking. They didn't actually fight, kick, and scream, but I mean, if I bring up a certain subject with people that agitates a response within them due to their programming, that they'll hit a wall and they won't go any further. It's a cycle hologram where they just cycle over and over and over with the same subjects, and anything new or anything that questions their programming or anything that makes them uncomfortable, they don't want to talk about it or they don't want to think about it, you know. So again, I hope I don't sound judgmental, because I'm not. I'm just being honest. And I'll run into people I haven't seen in years, and they'll ask me what I've been up to. And I can't just be like, oh, well, I'm obsessed with Kundalini. It's the evolutionary bioetherical energy within our physiology that's lying asleep, dormant, wrapped around our pelvic floor, our coccyx. And, when this energy wakes up, it's highly serpentine, and it climbs up your spine and activates certain energy centers and different meridian points within the body, and it opens up the consciousness and enlightens the blood and christens your state of awareness, and you become enlightened, and you can see into the ethers, and communicate with angels. I can't. What I've been doing violates the script that they follow. So when someone asks me, "Wait, what have you been doing, man? Like, I haven't seen you in years," like an old family friend, I get nervous. Sometimes I'll even blush, because at internet speed, I'm expected by them to give a certain answer that they're used to based on their programming. So, I became a lawyer, Mr. Johnson. What have you been up to? Or I became a doctor, or I'm in college. No, I don't follow the normal script, and due to that, it makes them uncomfortable. And I can sense the depth of uncomfort in people who try to communicate with me who aren't experiencing the old me that they're used to. It agitates a response in them, because in my opinion, on the deeper spiritual levels, they may or may not just be an agent for this system without being aware of it. So that can add to a whole different level of anxiety. Oh, my neck hurts. But anyways, I'm rambling. I'm just letting some stuff off my chest. But it's just fascinating to me. I think many people who have Kundalini awakenings feel that Kundalini was a bad thing because it changes them to such a degree that it's hard for them to relate to their old self. And it makes social situations, depending on the degree of the awakening, or depending on how you integrate a full-blown Kundalini awakening, it can be very difficult to just go out back into the world and be happy, cheerful Mr. Me. Mr. Old Self, excuse me. So I don't recommend people dabble in Kundalini. This is not just some dollar menu item. It can be very dangerous to a fragile mind. So many people regard Kundalini energy as being negative because it can create a shitstorm of things in your life that the average person regards as being negative or demonic, because they're not spiritually mature enough to realize that these are tough love lessons that this energy is trying to teach us. It's trying to make us mature again. We've become heathens. So, due to the fact that I'm recording in 1080p at 60 frames per second here on my GoPro camera, this SD card that I'm using can't keep up with the amount of information being written on it. So I'm going to turn the camera off and start a new video because it can't record more than about 11 minutes while in. Alrighty. Continuing my little rant here. You know, I think it's really interesting to really, as an empath, as someone who can feel energy heavily, I can often take words out of people's mouths excuse me. Oftentimes, when I'm communicating with someone, I can read exactly what they're thinking about and tell them what they're thinking about. I can often take words out of people's mouths before they say them, and it shocks people. And I'm just very good at reading people's energy and tapping into the minds of other people. I'm not trying to sound like, I'm not trying to brag. No, I'm just being honest. And, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword here, because when I go out and run into someone I haven't seen in a long time, or an old family friend, and they ask me how I'm doing, and they follow the same old script that they're used to, and I tell them what I've been up to, or this and that, and it makes them uncomfortable because they're not used to this stuff that I'm telling them. I can often just feel the judgment, and like there's like this sickening sense of grandeur that many of these people portray at me when they find out that I don't make tons of money every year, like, oh, I don't have a full-time job, or this and that. Like, there's this sick sense of like superiority that many of these people cast at me, or like this what's the word, disappointment that they have for me, like, oh, he missed his mark, he's not living up to what his full potential, and all this shit. I can just feel all this shit that you're throwing at me, and it's just a reflection of your own misery because you missed your mark. Any path that deviates from enlightenment and gnosis in union with who you really are is not a path that should be accepted. No, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care if that means you losing your job. I don't care if that means you... Excuse me. God, I need some sleep. What I'm getting at, I mean, you could go your whole life, you know, making a ton of money, and you could never have an experience with the truth. You could never have an experience of what it's truly like to feel alive with the Kundalini energy moving through you. You could go your whole life making millions of dollars and never experience the Merkaba, to see what it's like, to feel what it's like to sit inside this chariot. But you want to judge me because I didn't go to college, or I don't make a bunch of dirty dollar bills like you, or oftentimes people are just jealous of your freedom when you don't live like they do, because they go to work from 9 to 5 every day. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form judging people who work. No, but when you get a sick sense of superiority over people because you go to fucking work every day and the person you're judging doesn't, you have some issues. Work is not the meaning of life, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to tell you. What are you even working for? I'd say 90% of the people I know who work their asses off, they could be utilizing that money that they earn in so many ways to further their growth, to further their health, but they don't use it for that. No, oftentimes money is used for a few simple things: shelter, food, entertainment, and vehicles, travel, clothing, you name it. So, and you know, I'm so tired of that. Oh, dude, I gotta work. You gotta work to put food on the table for your family, this and that. Like, The stuff that you're working for, the food that you're buying for your family isn't even food, because food by definition is something that nourishes, and you don't buy nourishing food. No, most people don't. So, got to work for my family, man. I got to be a man. I got to step up. I got myself in this contract and had babies. It's like you use your kids as like, and I'm a victim. I have to work now. You didn't have to have kids. You didn't have to get someone pregnant. Many people will get themselves into a situation and then complain as if they're a victim after they've manifested that situation. It's pathetic. So I don't know, just a brief little rant on communicating with the sheep, I call them. The people who expect you to live up to their expectations as to what you should amount to. And when you try to tell them something that violates the continuity of their bullshit, it makes them uncomfortable. And if you're an empath, you can feel the fucking judgment coming at you like fucking missiles. What's hard for me is when someone asks me what I've been doing. I can't tell them because they have no foundation to understand these things at all. So I don't give a fuck though. I'll make people uncomfortable. I don't give a damn. I'm not here to make them happy. But I'm just so sick of just these endless hordes of these people who are, whether they know it or not, they're biologically and parasitically repeating a pre-programmed program that keeps them in a similar state of consciousness. That's why most commoners can relate to themselves and they can communicate freely with one another and they can just get along great with one another because they're connected to the same broadband of consciousness with subtle variations. Anyways, I need some sleep. I'm going to wrap this one up. My mouth is super dry. These lemons I've been drinking, I don't know what the deal is. I've been drying my mouth out big time. On behalf of the Sacred Starseed Serpent Uraeus YouTube channel, just a second ago I had a very intense experience, just massive deja vu. I've been in this car making this video months before this in a dream. It's really weird when you dream something and then it happens in the physical dimension. And as it happens, your mind at internet speed calculates everything and connects the dots between the dream realm and the physical plane. And you experience something that you've been here before, but in the dream plane. Oftentimes, our dreams show us things that are going to happen in the future, but we don't, as a species, really have any of our ability to recall dreams. I'd say we as a species probably remember like 2% of our dreams every night, if that. Many people say they don't dream, even though everyone dreams, ladies and gentlemen. You just don't remember them. It's not like you go to sleep and you're just staring at a black wall. Come on. The mind's eye really does become activated at night. When you slip into the dream realm, the astral plane, you name it, and you experience the limitless experience of what it's like to travel these dimensions. The dream realm, in many respects, is more real than the physical dimension right now, because the physical dimension, in this physical dimension, we've lost our ability to become limitless like we are in the dream plane. And yes, I do believe that this physical dimension is just as limitless as the dream plane. But this is a slave world right now. The physical plane is a slave realm. A parasitically controlled slave realm, where you experience the lowest amount of energy within your physiology to keep you just alive so that you can work your whole life while never experiencing anything higher than what you've been programmed to experience. It's so sad, man. to see just how fucking stupid things have become here on Earth. This is a circus, to say the least. It almost becomes comical. And as you become more conscious, as you take better care of your health, as you become more stimulated by Kundalini energy, you become more real than the world around you. Peace be with you.